part of it is a bit of imposter syndrome, but also part of it is like being realistic of, it's going to be hard to put a good book together if it's just me. So I was thinking about starting a podcast interviewing content marketing experts, personal branding experts, and using some of the content that we talk on the interviews and using their thoughts, putting them in the book, crediting them, and also helping that with the distribution of saying, hey, you were quoted in the book, and then getting some of their content as well to help me out, because it's going to be tough otherwise to do it all by myself. What do you think about that? Trash?
No. I think that's a perfect idea. I think it's a great idea. You'll just want the only negative to that is just that it's more work. Like there's really no other negative. And obviously like ask for people's permission, but I can guarantee you 99%, probably even 100% of people are going to be happy to let you include their stuff.
Right. Because I saw this blog called Underdog NYC. And it's this guy who interviews like CEOs and then wrote a book from those interviews. And he was putting the interviews online. And I was thinking I could do it on a podcast base, which is easier to writing all that stuff out.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a great idea. Like, you have your 20-minute, 45-minute interview and it's probably, 500 words of it's going to make the book. You just take the best of it.
Yeah. Even if like they help me out with like 500 words each and then it's like 20 people, that's, like 15,000 words that I don't have to write.
Exactly. And just all the stuff that you don't feel confident in advising on. It's like, okay, I don't know about X. I'm going to find an expert on it. Boom. You just write 500 words. And they don't have to write it. Like people are happy to get on a podcast and you're doing the work of extracting the best parts of it.
Love that. And then I can also use that to create content as well. And associating myself with them, right? Because at the end of the day, a CEO is going to be like, what the fuck is this kid thinking that he's the hero? Right? So if I have some 60-year-old who thinks he knows more just because he has white hair,
you can dye your hair and maybe that'll work. That's the other, if you decide you don't want to do the podcast, just dye your hair and then you can do it all yourself.
Dye my hair, keep growing my beard a little bit and give myself an old white name.
Jim. Actually, he was a serial killer. Don't do Jim Jones.
Maybe not that one. So I started with the outline and I realized that was harder than I thought, right? Because I started brainstorming topics. And so like, how do you structure an outline at the beginning? Like, what's your strategy of like, okay, let's put an outline together? Is that the first step in the writing process?
I would say it's the second step. The first step is, you have a pretty good idea of this, but the first step would be getting even more specific on your goals. Like, okay, you're targeting all CEOs, you're targeting tech CEOs, like who exactly are you targeting? What are their problems? What are they looking for? Like, my guess is a CEO is going to want something like super, super actionable. Like they're not going to want to read a 300-page book. They're probably going to want like very, very brief stuff. It's getting really clear on your goals, who it's for. And then usually it would just be kind of like what I call like a word vomit. So like get out a Google Doc or whatever and just write like everything you could possibly maybe include in the book. Like even if you think it's not that good, then you want to go back and be like, okay, that I don't really need, that I don't really need, that I don't really need. But there's no order at this point. It's just like get everything out. And then the next step would be like, okay, I usually tell people to just think of it as like a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? So usually the beginning is like the problem and the hook. So getting people interested and attaching to some sort of problem they have. The middle is kind of just expanding on that, starting to give the strategies. And the end is just like the takeaways, how you've solved their problems and what they do next.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
It might sound like oversimplified, but if you read like any good book, you can always break it down to like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it makes it so much simpler in your mind. If you can describe that in like one sentence each, then it's like, okay, I know this idea fits in the beginning, this idea fits in the middle, this idea fits in the end.
I love that. Do you have like a set number of pages or words that you go for? Or is that something that you find later on?
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry about it. Like it's possible the book could be as short as, 80, 100 pages. Usually we're talking like 150 or so, but like if you're just padding it with fluff, then like make it shorter.
Yeah, I was thinking about going like somewhere around that 80, 100 words. No words.
Pages.
Words.
Yeah, that like, and if you do that, what I would do is think of like, in terms of like branding and selecting the title and the cover, like use that as a strength. Like, don't make it seem like, you know,
Right.
I'm lazy, I wrote a short book, but it's like, no, I'm writing for CEOs. CEOs want me to get to the point, and that can be like included in the branding, the title, all that stuff.
I got you. Yeah.
There's actually a big like desire for that now. Like, people are finally starting to like wake up and realize like, I don't need to read a 500-page book. It could be better to read an 80-page book. So you got to like own it.
As a reader, that pisses me off so bad. Like, especially in like self-help books, it's the same advice, and then you're going to give me 4,500 213 examples of the same thing. I got it at number 3. Like,
like a 25-year-old man example, then a 26-year-old man, a 29-year-old man, a 28-year-old woman. I get it.
I was like, it clicked on example 3. The 220.
More than one, sure, but you don't need 15.
Gotcha.